Good evening. Today I'm going to be presenting the Silk Road with research done by Belcher, Ciara, Highsmith, and Richard Thompson. So what is the Silk Road? This was a website that was set up on the deep web, and this particular website was set up on a Tor server. This server is commonly referred to as the Onion Net because of the style of routing called onion routing. To access this, you have to have a connection to the Tor server, but you also have to have a VPN, and all of this keeps you pretty well away from prying eyes. The Silk Road had a user base of nearly 1 million users back in 2013, and this website worked a lot like eBay. The users here were selling illegal things. This can range anywhere from narcotics to things like prostitution and even assassinations, and we'll touch a little more on the latter subject in just a moment. So this website was actually named after a popular trade route in China. This trade route went from the heart of China all the way across Asia, even into mainland Europe, and it was named the Silk Road because of the amount of silk that was traded along this route. The website itself, however, was founded in February of 2011, so this website was only up for a few years. And that metric alone makes the impact that this website had on society just a little more impressive because of the short lifespan. The website also made bitcoins popular. Do you guys remember when Bitcoin was a thing like 5 or so years ago? Yeah, Silk Road had a major part to play in that, and subsequently the fall of Bitcoin as well. So a brief introduction to the man named Ross Ulbricht. Just very quickly, this man is the guy who founded Silk Road, and instead of using his real name for online businesses as well, he decided to go with the moniker of Dread Pirate Roberts, the one from The Princess Bride. Ulbricht was a very smart man. Well, I presume he still is. He's not dead yet. And he's incredibly adept at coding. He managed to create this website and keep it up and the maintenance on it. And with nearly 1 million users, that can't have been that easy. Something that also helped a little later with the convictions against him was the fact that he was seen asking around certain questions online. He was asking people on social media if they knew anyone who worked for places such as FedEx, UPS, DHL, things like that. Something that would really help out with the distribution of his products. He was also asking on websites like Stack Overflow if anyone knew how to establish connections to Tor servers using curl PHP, and it's all pretty incriminating stuff if you see the charges being brought against him. Ulbricht also landed himself in a lot of trouble when he had a client list stolen from him. Let's call this other person user A, or actually he was called Altoid. That's the username that he was going by. So Altoid stole a client list from Ulbricht and threatened to release it unless Ulbricht paid him $500,000. Ulbricht refused and got in touch with an assassin, a hitman. And this hitman was supposedly an undercover FBI agent, or someone working with the FBI. So Ulbricht asked how much it would take to eliminate this person, negotiated prices, completed payments once the job was done. And since the hitman was just an undercover person, of course no one was actually killed. It was just something to kind of help set up a conviction against Dread Pirate Roberts. So the problem up until this point was that no one knew where Dread Pirate Roberts was. With the onion routing and his VPN, Ulbricht was pretty well hidden. So it was hard to pinpoint exactly where he was, and that was until he admittedly goofed up and he accidentally, I guess it wasn't an accident, but he posted his personal information online. This let the FBI know where he was, and they tailed him for a while before eventually capturing him in the San Francisco library. And, an interesting thing that I heard about this, actually, about the situation where he was caught. He was in this library, and in order to capture him, they had somebody on the other side of the library make a really loud noise. And whenever Ulbricht kind of recoiled and looked over to see what was happening, another nearby FBI agent grabbed his computer, which would stop Ulbricht from closing it. Because if he had closed it, then it would have encrypted a lot of data. They would have had a lot of trouble actually accessing some of the stuff on his computer. And they were able to get a lot of information from it. And when they actually seized his laptop, he was logged into the Silk Road Mastermind account. So that itself was pretty bad for Ulbricht. As can be expected, his charges were quite severe. Narcotics and money laundering were pretty easy to stick to him, and they even hit him with something called a kingpin charge. This is a very special conviction for people who are leaders of things like cartel and human trafficking rings. He was also charged with procuring murder thing, but that was dropped because that guy was never actually killed. Either way, I believe he's currently serving double life sentence with no possibility of parole whatsoever. So after Ulbricht's arrest, the FBI raided all kinds of Silk Road users. They arrested several more people on drug trafficking accounts and even caught people selling child pornography. Around this time, the FBI had completely infiltrated Tor, and you may have also heard about this a while ago, maybe a few years ago, when it was being said that Tor was completely unsafe because of all the FBI monitor. So after Ulbricht's arrest, Silk Road 2.0 was established. Someone took over the Dread Pirate Robert pseudonym and put the website back up. After about a month or two, the FBI had arrested 2 of the admins of that site, and it was picked up by another person. A few months later, that guy was also arrested. And then, after only being up for about a year, Silk Road 2.0 was completely down. But still, illegal activities will continue. So in terms of cybersecurity, the black hats are always one step ahead of the white hats. That's kind of where the situation is at the moment. So there is currently a Silk Road 3, although I think the origin of this website was just some other website like Silk Road that just decided to take the Silk Road name for marketing reasons. And I'm sure it's possible to still gain access to that site, but just don't. Why would you? Well, there you have it. So here's a complete list of our references for this presentation, and I hope you all learned a thing or two today. It's a quite interesting subject, and there's a lot more detail if you decide to look into it, and I do really recommend doing so because it is quite a fascinating story. Thank you everyone for listening, and take care.